Well, hello and welcome. I'm Misheard with Misheard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in Season 5, Episode 216, with our first ever Chumbawamba Misheard Song Lyric. The misheard lyric is, he drinks a larger drink, he drinks society's drink. And then the correct lyrics is, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a cider drink. Lots of drinking. And it'll be interesting because there's a lot to the song that I had no idea about. So I'm just going to start with there, and we'll get to know what the song is really about, what was the impetus of it, and what is a Chumbawamba. So let's begin. So the song itself is called Tubthumping, okay? It was released by British rock band Chumbawamba from their 8th studio album, also with the same name, Chumbawamba, back in 1997. Yours truly was a young 25-year-old. Wow. Anyway, it's the band's most successful single. It peaked at number 2 in the UK singles chart, topped the charts all over the world. Australia, Canada, Ireland, Italy, New Zealand, and hit number 6 on our very own US soil at the Billboard Hot 100, although it topped the US Modern Rock and Mainstream Top 40 charts. And at the 1998 Brit Awards, Tubthumping was nominated for the Brit Award for Best British Single. It sold about 880,000 copies in the UK. And again, that was when, back in 97, people had to go and buy it in person. They couldn't downstream it, load it, unload it, whatever. So that's amazing. So let's first talk about Chumbawamba, because I love the name itself, It is a British, they call it anarchist punk band. I did not know that about Chumbawamba. I thought they were just a pop band. So they definitely had a lot of anarchy. And a lot of, if you go and look them up, Google them, there's a lot of articles that talk about all the different, causes that they were very passionate with. So more than meets the eye, just being a rock band, okay? They were formed back in 1982 and then disbanded in 2012. We'll go into that a little bit. As I said, their 1997 single that we're talking about today, Tubthumping, was their best, highest selling single, of course, and was nominated for many awards. And they drew their genre from many genres, specifically punk rock, pop, and folk. And what they say here is their anarcho-communist political leanings led them to have what they say an irreverent attitude toward authority and a variety of political and social causes, which include animal rights, that I saw a lot. Early in their career, pacifism, that's interesting, and later regarding class struggle, Marxism, feminism, gay liberation, pop culture, and anti-fascism. So let's first start with the big question I had is, what is a Chumbawamba? Is it a made-up name? Is it actually something that's, something we don't know in the States here that across the pond might have some kind of word or meaning? Well, here it is. So there was an article I found. It was called Behind the Band Name Chumbawamba. It was by an Ali Patton, and it just said written 8 months ago. So I don't know if that's 8 months ago this year of 2023 or 8 months ago back then. But anyway, in the article, it states, quote unquote, that many origin stories have sprung from the name Chumbawamba. It was sometimes said to have come from a dream in which public bathrooms replaced the men and women's designation with Chumba and Wamba signs. A monkey typing the name out in a typewriter is another common origin. However, the band set the record straight in the Bandcamp feature published last year. This is what they said. While we're busking in Paris, these North American drummers used to come busk near us, and when they started, you can hear yourself think. So again, for those of you who don't know what busking is, it's people performing out in public, and then they usually put like a jar out, a tip jar or something. So that's what they're talking when they say they're busking. Wally explained to the outlet, they were fantastic. They used to sing Chum by Wallen. It was great rhyming, and we thought we would call ourselves Chum by Wallen because it doesn't mean anything and was open-ended. All the punk bands had hard-edged names, and you kind of knew what we were getting. Nobakin added, we changed it to Chumbawamba because it was snappier off the tongue, which, correct. I mean, when you hear it, you don't forget it. And you're like, Chumbawamba, that's the name of the group. And they were definitely against the man. So I found some interesting things here. In the late 1990s, Chumbawamba turned down $1.5 million from Nike, which is headquartered where I live here in the Pacific Northwest in the United States, in Oregon, to use the song Tubthumping that we're talking about today. They wanted to use it in the 1990 World Cup advertisement. And according to the band, the decision took approximately 30 seconds to make, so they did not want any cent from Nike, even though it was $1.5 million for their song. Then, in 2002, General Motors paid Chumbawamba a sum of either they said $70,000 or $100,000 to use another song called Pass It Along it was from their WYG album for a Pontiac Vive television advertisement. Chumbawamba gave, so they must have said yes, go for it, but then they took the money that General Motors paid them for to use their Pass It Along song, and they gave it to the anti-corporate activist group Indie Media and Corpwatch, who then used the money to launch an information and environmental campaign against General Motors. So there you go. Either they're not going to take the money from the man, or if they do, they stick it to him one way or another. Now, I did allude that they have broken up. So back on July 8, 2012, so now about 11 years ago, Chumbawamba announced that they'd be disbanding at the end of the year after 30 years together. The band was joined by former members and collaborators for 3 final shows between Halloween of that year, 2012, October 31st, through November 3rd of 2012, one of which was filmed and released as a live DVD. So I bet you can find it on Google or someplace. On their website, they opened the statement with, quote unquote, this is then, now that's, okay, this was it. That's it then, it's the end, with neither a whimper or a bang or a reunion. They stated they would continue with individual efforts and ended their official statement. And it says here, we do, of course, reserve the right to reemerge as Chumbawamba, doing something else entirely, and then in parentheses, certainly not touring and putting out albums every 2 to 3 years, but frankly, that's not very likely. 30 years of being snotty, eclectic, funny, contrary, and just plain weird. What a privilege. And what a good time we had. So that was on their website when they broke up in 2012. All right, so now we know about Chumbawamba. We know how they got their name. But what is the background on the song itself, Tubthumper, that we're talking about? Because remember, we thought the misheard song lyric was about a larger drink and society's drink, which kind of works too, because now we know about their political leanings. It could have worked, but it's really a lager drink and a cider drink. Okay, so the song itself. The song was the group's lead single from their also album called Tubthumper, their major label debut. It was released back on August 11th, 1997. Vocalist Dunstan Bruce, that's the chap that's singing in the beginning with the bleach blonde hair, observed that before the group wrote it, they were literally, he says, quote unquote, we're in a mess. We had become directionless and disparate. He credited Tubthumping with changing that, telling The Guardian that, quote unquote, it's not our most political or best song, but it brought us back together. The song is about us, as a class, as a band. The beauty of it, we had no idea how big it would be. Boy, did it get big, because it was a big one in 1997. Did you know regarding this is a Leeds pub called the Ford Green. It's spelled F, uppercase F, lowercase f, O-R-D-E, Green, and Green is spelled G-R-E-N-E, served as the group's inspiration for the song. Guitarist Boff Wally told The Guardian that it was written about the resiliency of ordinary people musically. So there's one point there, but there's also, I found something else of what Tubthumping means and why they wrote the song itself. So when it was released, of course, the song became an international hit. I remember it in the United States. So let's see how it did in the UK chart. So in the UK singles chart, it debuted at number 2 on the chart back on August 23rd, 1997. Spent 3 consecutive weeks at number 2, held off by Will Smith's Men in Black at that time. The song spent 11 consecutive weeks in the top 10 and 20 consecutive weeks on the top 100. It kept staying there, just couldn't push off Men in Black. And then on the chart dated January 24th, 1998, 3 weeks after its last week on the chart, the song re-entered the singles chart at number 88 the next week, and it fell down to 96 before exiting the chart, but it just kept coming back. How did it do in the US at the same time? It debuted at the Billboard Hot 100 back on September 13th, 1997, so about a couple weeks later past UK chart at number 79, where at the UK chart it started at number 2 spot. The next week it was a sleeper. It started to rise to number 63. They said attained the week's biggest gain in airplay. Then 2 weeks later, when the chart hit October 4th, 1997. The song was again the biggest airplay gainer of the week, entering the top 40. It rose from 47 to 35. Here we go. In the 12th week on the chart, on November 29th, 1997, the song reached its peak of number 6 on the U.S. Billboard charts, where it spent 2 weeks there. In total, it spent 31 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. Not so bad, right? The single was also present on many year-end single charts for 1997 all over the world, as you can imagine. And Tubthumping also placed at number 12 in Rolling Stone's 2000 list for 20 of the most annoying songs, at number 8 in the magazine's 2011 list of the top 10 one-hit wonders of all time. Those of you who have been with me since season 1, I would love one hit wonder. I would be happy with that. So I'm just throwing it out the universe. All right, have you seen the music video? There's a lot of hits on it, and it actually visually still looks good from the 90s. It does have that 90s feel with the fashion and so forth, but it starts with, it looks like, I don't know if it's in someone's basement, cool basement, or an actual bar, but everyone's imbibing with adult beverages, and it goes, kind of goes into the small television, black and white, and then it turns into color, and then you see the lead singer with the bleach blonde hair start singing, I Get Knocked Down, and then you see the rest of the band all in black, just like him, with a red curtain, or like stage curtain behind him. And then the funny thing is, when I watch it again, it cuts into a suite where it looks like, I don't know if it's a karaoke room or a karaoke bar, but there's a guy in a suit with glasses singing, I Get Knocked Down, and even has the karaoke word showing. And then I think it's several members of the band dressed in drag, the women as men, men as women, also at the same AKA karaoke bar or karaoke room. And then it ends again with or goes back again with all these different people at the bar having fun. So I found this great article back, I think it was just recently. So it's interesting that these articles have been written recently. So it's like everyone's been thinking about the song too, the universe, right? Universe. This online article was published on August 11, 2023. And I'm taping this right now in October of 2023, so just a couple months ago. It's by Bianca Gracie. I'm giving her props. It was titled Tubthumping, the story behind Chumbawamba's massive hit. Here's an excerpt from the article. It says here, quote unquote, a cheeky blend of smooth pop-inspired verses, funky horns, ripping guitars, and an anthemic chorus. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. Tubthumping had all the elements for an earworm hit. Its title derives from the British slang for aggressive political protesting. That's what tubthumping means. Ha ha! It was inspired by a night when guitarist Boff Wally and his wife watched their drunken next-door neighbor singing Danny Boy. That's why in the song she's like, oh, Danny Boy, Danny Boy. She's singing that in there, while stumbling to open his front door. Eventually, he found his way inside the house. Thus, the song became about perseverance. He got knocked down, but he kept getting up again. The song changed everything, was what they said in the article. Before Tubthumping, again, I thought we were in a mess. We had become directionless and disparate. Same thing we found from frontman Dunstan Bruce. That's what he also told The Guardian in 2016. And like it said earlier, again, it's not one of their best or political song, but it brought them together as a class, because as a band, because they didn't know how big it became, and it did become big. And we're talking about now, and it's what, 2023. So lots we learned. We learned about how they got their name Chumbawamba. What is a Chumbawamba? Also learned about how, I like the word cheeky they were with not letting the man push them around and saying no to Nike after being offered a lot of money to use this song for the World Cup at that time, and that they did break up, but you know what? They had fun, like they said in their website, and they did crazy things, and they were able to do it all together. So great suggestion. This actually came from a colleague of mine, actually a customer mentioned it, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it, because I didn't do a misheard song lyric of this before. If you have any great suggestions like this, please send it to any of our social media sites, Facebook, X now, I guess, formerly Twitter, as well as Instagram, or you can send me or us, all of us, it's me, an email at misheard, that's MISSHEARD songs @gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you and maybe give you a shout out on your misheard song lyric. Till then, keep singing those songs. Wrong, bye.